This is Inside Indiana Business Radio for Wednesday, May 21st, 2025. I'm Marek Mazarek. After months of deliberation, Lake County commissioners have finally settled on a site for a new Lake County Convention Center. On Wednesday, commissioners unanimously selected Gary and its proposal to build a 145-square-foot center next to the current Hard Rock Casino of Northern Indiana. Hard Rock would also manage the new convention center. The commissioners went with Gary as the site of the center over Hobart, which pitched a facility near the intersection of Interstate 65 and US 30, just a few minutes down the road. As cheers from Gary city officials rang out in the meeting venue, Commissioner Kyle Allen Jr. said Gary demonstrated the best ability to execute on its plans.
I will use one word: execution. We must speak truth to power. This is the first time in my lifetime that I have ever seen the state of Indiana set aside $100 million in this manner.
The at times contentious selection process for a Lake County Convention Center started a few years ago with the passage of legislation which allocated $5 a year for the next 20 years in matching state funds for the project. The bill, which was authored by current Gary Mayor Eddie Melton Jr. when he was a state senator, stipulated the Lake County commissioners were in charge of picking which bid to go with. Gary will now move forward and hammer out a development agreement with the county commissioners. Team Penske has fired several key officials just days after two of the team's cars were sent to the back of the 2025 Indianapolis 500 starting grid over mechanical violations. In a post on Twitter, the team announced that President Tim Cindric, Managing Director Ron Ruszewski, and General Manager Kyle Moyer had departed after 2 years of, quote, organizational failures. Team owner Roger Penske said in a written statement, quote, "Nothing is more important than the integrity of our sport and our race teams," end quote. Officials announced Monday that cars driven by Will Power and two-time winner Joseph Newgarden would be moved to the back of the grid following the Sunday pre-qualification discovery of car modifications presumably meant to give an aerodynamic advantage. The part in question was the rear attenuator, which is a safety device designed to absorb and reduce the force of impacts. It's a spec part that's not allowed to be modified. Team Penske apparently filled a seam to close off airflow over the attenuator in an attempt to reduce drag, which could potentially improve straight-line speed. From the number one source for Indiana business news, this is Inside Indiana Business Radio.
To succeed, you need to stay informed. You need to be engaged. And let's face it, you need to set yourself apart from the rest by connecting with a company that brings you the best. Because in today's environment, business is an ever-moving target, and we'll help you chase it. IBJ Media. The best of business is in us. Get started at ibjmedia.com/youngprofessional.
Marshall County will need to add over 2,400 housing units by 2024 to keep pace with the projected population and workforce growth of the county. That's according to the Michiana Area Council of Governments' regional housing study. That analysis highlights a critical shortfall in affordable and workforce housing, with an average of 124 new units needed each year, about 31% of which must be rental properties. The report underscores a mismatch in housing types, in aging housing stock, and affordability concerns, particularly for seniors, young professionals, and lower-income households. Plymouth City Attorney Jeff Hoyne said that leaders around Marshall County are looking at ways to address housing.
But it's also essential to growth of the city. We have to position ourselves to grow, especially with some of the regional economic development that's going on. We understand that we're part of a region and we have to work together.
While Plymouth is expected to lead future housing development, smaller communities like Bremen, Argos, and Bourbon are poised for growth. The Hoosier Lottery anticipates earning and spending slightly less than budgeted, but it's still on track to deliver a hefty surplus payment to the state of Indiana. In a forecast revealed during a Tuesday commission meeting, revenues were expected to end the 2025 fiscal year on June 30th down by almost 4%. But estimates for a trio of expenditures had decreased by even more: prize expenses by more than 4%, game and provider expenses by almost 5%, and administrative expenses by a whopping 20%. The lottery's current operator, IGT Indiana, predicts it will provide $352 million in net earnings to state coffers. Jill and Bryce Morrison, the co-founders of the alcoholic seltzer sensation Mom Water, are this week's guest on the Business and Beyond podcast with Gary Dick, presented by PNC. a weekly conversation with high-profile Hoosiers in business, sports, entertainment, and beyond. Available now from your favorite podcast provider. I'm Marek Mazurek for Inside Indiana Business Radio on Demand.
Get ready for full throttle coverage as we shift into high gear for Business at the Brickyard, presented by LiUNA with support from the City of Westfield and Daniel's Family Vineyard and Winery. We're giving you the inside track on the powerful connection between motorsports and the Indiana economy. Join us at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway for exclusive interviews, behind-the-scenes access, and the stories that drive the business of motorsports. So buckle up and join us for Emmy Award-winning Business at the Brickyard coverage all month long.